Hi guys, I'm Manic Mina, and today I am going to be giving you 10 tips for playing PokeMMO. Now, this is generally geared for new players, but you may be somebody who's gone to a new region or just maybe something you didn't already know. So let's go ahead and get started, and my first tip is going to be NPCs, and the gyms in PokeMMO are a lot harder than the original game. And this is actually a good thing because don't get me wrong, the games are fun, but being able to grind up your starter and then go through the whole game, it's not great. So they changed that. There's also level caps. So it's based upon how many gyms you've gone through, but it basically makes it so you can't just like mega grind and then get a level 100 of your starter. So with the thought of the difficulty being higher and there being a level cap, it makes it all the more important to familiarize yourself with typing and weaknesses and really just putting in a good grind and making a good team. Now, there's a lot of Pokemon you can catch early on that you might dismiss, but those could be the ones that get you through the gyms. So don't dismiss Pokemon that you might have in the original games because those could be your saving graces. So moving on to tip number 2, we're going to look at IVs and Natures. Now, you just saw that I caught a Pokemon with a 0 IV. That sucks. I'm actually in the Safari right here in Johto because I wasn't really sure where to make this video. So if I can catch this one, I will show you its IVs and Natures. So IVs are basically like its genes, right? So these are things that it inherited from its parents. It's stats for these different places. So for this one, it has, ooh, nice. At least the first one. So it's HP, right? Is a 31. 31 is the highest you can go in any of these categories. There's HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. So this one is really high in HP, which is great. It's got a 1 in special attack. That could be something that doesn't even matter with this one, depending on what kind of attacks it does. So whenever it says special attack, you can actually pop over here to the different moves. So you see how it says special? That's going to be your special attacks. And so that stat is what's going to affect how much power this has. Now, IVs, sure, they're important, but they're not the most important thing. There's also EVs. These are going to be a bit more important in my personal opinion, and these you can control. So whenever you battle Pokemon, most of the time you'll get an EV point. Then we have the nature. Luckily for me, this one has a no stat change. That's kind of my safe ground. There's 4 natures that have no stat changes, but other ones, okay, so like this one, nature is jolly. So it takes 10% of the special attack and then adds 10% to the speed. So if this was a Pokemon that I really wanted it to have high special attack and I didn't care about the speed, this would be a bad nature for it. And I mean, honestly, it's not great for my Vaporeon, but it is what it is. Those cannot be changed. You would have to rebreed it or to breed it in order to change the natures. Okay, so real quick, one way that I like to see what its nature should be or what I need to build upon basically for either the EVs or what good IVs I want, I'll look at its stats. And this can be found in the Pokedex in-game, which I will cover that later. So for this one, it's not bad. It's not decent, but honestly, most people are probably going to go for that speed stat because it is the highest. The next stat they would probably go for is special defense. It also depends on how you're wanting to use the Pokemon. So if you want something that's tanky, for one, I probably wouldn't use Skiploom, but you would want to go for high defense and high special defense. And so having a perfect IV there, as well as having your EV trainings in those stats, would be the most important thing. Oh, really quick, having that perfect 31 and the HP, keep an eye out for those whenever you're catching Pokemon, because most time those are worth money even if you don't want the Pokemon. So there is the global trade link, which you can find at a PC, or you can go down here if you're on PC and click trade. I don't know too much about mobile, but I think there is a shortcut for it on there too. And you can actually sell Pokemon on here or buy Pokemon after you have cleared the first 4 gyms. And after you get that 4th gym badge, you can go here, you can buy Pokemon, you can sell Pokemon, things like that. But as you can see, there's a good bit of Pokemon here with those perfect IVs, and that's what people are looking for. So moving on to tip number 3, which is actually just going back to the Pokedex. So real quick, we're gonna bring up the Pokedex. So the Pokedex here has a lot more information than the older games. For one, it has the different regions and also the Alpha Dex, which is really, really great. We're just gonna go ahead and click on a Bulbasaur real quick. So we can see the basic information that most Pokedexes would give us. We can also see the hidden ability that it would give, should we catch one. We can see if it would have any held items. So that's important for people that farm things like amulet coins or other things to sell on the GTL. Also for people that enjoy breeding Pokemon, it also has the egg groups, which can be really great. EV yield, this lets you know what kind of EVs you get from defeating this Pokemon. So if you're going through and you keep seeing the same Pokemon in an area, you can just check here to see what EV stat it's giving your Pokemon. Moving on, we can see the different moves. This is insanely helpful, at least for me personally. You can sort by the type, which is what I normally do whenever I've got a Pokemon like Bulbasaur that is grass, but I want to know what kind of poison moves he can have to add some variety. So I can just go through here and then scroll down to poison, and I can see what he can learn. Also, if you're on PC, you can hover your mouse over it, and it'll give you some more information. It's got the power, how much PP it has, which is how many times you can use a move, and its chance of hitting the target. You can also see if it is an egg move, if it's a level up, or if it's a TM. These are all really, really helpful things, especially whenever you're trying to build a really good team. So here, this is the base stats. This is before the IVs, before the EVs. This is the base of what your Pokemon has. And then going over to wild locations, this is obvious. This is where you can catch them. And then evolution tree, I really, really love this because it tells you how to evolve it. So for Bulbasaur, it doesn't mean you have to use the rare candies. This just means that once it levels up to 16, it evolves into an Ivysaur, and then you can click it and it will bring up the information for the evolution, which I absolutely love, especially for checking those base stats whenever I'm looking for the final form of a Pokemon. So for this one, Venusaur, the base stats here are what I would start training my Bulbasaur towards. So if I really just wanted to tank, I'm going to build upon that special defense and maybe that defense. If I want a hard-hitting tank, I'm going to do special attack and special defense for me personally, because I'm going to be using those special attack moves that really are just that type advantage for him. So moving on to tip number 4, items can get really, really expensive in this game. So starting out, your potions and Pokeballs, yeah, they might be the same, but once you get up to your max revives, they're really hard to find. If they're not available in the town you're in or the ones you visited, then your only option is the GTL. Okay, max revives go from anywhere, last time I checked, 15 to 18k for a 1 max revive. Things get really pricey, so make sure you have your utility Pokemon, which I'll cover here in a second, and you're just really going and you're seeing Nurse Joy as much as you can instead of using items. On the flip side of that, with item selling for hire, that's also good money you could be making on the GTL by flipping your items. So items you know you're not going to be using, you can just sell in the GTL and get some free money for them. There are items that you can't sell. So unfortunately, that is a thing. The easiest way is to show you on the TMs. So you can hover over it, and as you can see, this one, it has a price, the selling price, and that's if you sell it at the mart. And then it says untradeable. So things that say untradeable, you cannot sell on the GTL. So there's a lot of things you still can, and that's simply because of the way I got that item. I might get another one and it will actually show up separately in a different stack, and it will have I think it just doesn't say anything where it would normally say untradeable. It just doesn't say anything, and that lets you know that you can list it on the GTL. All right, moving on to the GTL itself. Again, this is a place you can buy, sell Pokemon. You can buy and sell items. This is unlocked after getting 4 gym badges. It's really important to know because like you're not going to be able to access it as soon as you get your Pokemon. This is a great place if you're stuck in a region but you really, really want a Pokemon. You can go on the GTL and find it pretty cheap sometimes, depending on what the Pokemon is, depending on the IVs and stuff like that. Also, after you beat that 4th gym and you might be low on money, all those Pokemon you've been catching with those perfect IVs, now's your time to make bank and list them to really get some cash flowing, which is something you will need. So another thing is to always keep Pokeballs on hand. There's nothing worse than being out and seeing the Pokemon that you've been waiting for, and then you realize you don't have any Pokeballs left. So you can't catch it. I've had that happen to me quite a few times. Just keep a stock of Pokeballs. Every time you go heal up your Pokemon or you go to the mart, check to make sure you have some. I would suggest having at least 20 on hand, which, yeah, it might seem like a lot, but if you're just using Pokeballs, you're going to want to have a few extra because of the low catch rate. Pokeballs and other items is something I'll touch on in a later video. They're different from the original games, at least their catch rate, and I feel like that needs its own video. Tip 7, and that is your utility Pokemon. So utility Pokemon are Pokemon that really help you with different things. So a lot of people have a Breloom, and it is their utility Pokemon for alphas or for catching other Pokemon. Mine personally is for alphas, so it has Substitute. This is also my Pokemon for catching Dittos. So Substitute, so Ditto can't transform into my Breloom and wreck me, but also Substitute for some alphas it works okay, where they don't just one-shot him. And then Spore for putting them to sleep. And then False Swipe, because if it's high enough level versus the Pokemon you're facing, it'll knock it down to 1 HP, but will not faint, which is important whenever you're trying to catch something. My Breloom is not the best. This is my little budget Breloom that I bought off of the GTL. As you can see, it's named A1. Alright, so this would be a utility Pokemon. So basically, you teach it moves that you need for a very specific thing. That can be farming, it could be making money, it could be for catching things. I also have my Smeargle, which I did this one myself. He has his EVs, he has pretty decent IVs, and he's got the moves. So with Smeargle, just out of the bat, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is not a strong Pokemon. This is not your Pokemon to take on the Elite Four with, at least not with this moveset. Sure, if they're built up right for very specific things, they can be great, and they make one of the best utility Pokemon there is in the whole entire game because of their move Sketch. However, it doesn't take hits very well. So from what I know and from what I've seen, the usual moveset for a Smeargle is False Swipe, Bore, Soak, and Sweet Scent. Those are the moves that are best for catching Pokemon. So I'm not actually going to go through all of the Pokemon that are great for catching things. That's going to be a separate video. I actually am hoping for that to be my next video, but I will cover that in another video because there's a lot that goes into that. Those are just the 2 that I have. So one of the last bigger tips, I guess, that I want to give is the gift shop. If you go down here, you can find the gift shop, and there's donator status ticket. Now, these tickets give you some really great things, but it might be more beneficial for those people that are doing shiny huntings, or they've made a bunch of money, they've beat a couple regions, and they're just doing breeding or doing other things. Now, that's not to say you should not get it, because I really think that you should support the game, and these tickets help the developers and give us great new features. So if you have the cash, you think that you would like this, absolutely do it. I personally have the donator status because I want to support something that I really, really love. So donator status, even though I'm not fully end game, I haven't beat all the regions, I still like supporting the games that I love. So moving on, we have some vanity items. I haven't seen this one until now. Oh wow. So there is a seasonal item. As you can see, it's got a certain amount of days left, and these come around, as it says, seasonally. That's actually really, really cute. These are also great things to get for investments, which you can pop over to Petrowski's videos. He's got tons of videos on investments and upcoming events and things to look for on the GTL to get more money. He's got a lot of money making guides. I'll probably be doing one at some point, but for now you can check out him. And I think Darku has one or two. Both of them really amazing creators, and I really love the work they do. I would highly suggest you watch them as well. So there's sometimes limited items. We have Halloween coming up. Obviously they are preparing for it. Not very many hair options, so if you plan on making a character, I would suggest picking something you like, because this is the options afterwards. There's some, oh, they added a back one. The Hex Cloak is back. Nice. Okay, so the Hex Cloak is a seasonal item, as you can see. These are really great for buying up and then in a couple months selling on the GTL after you can't get them anymore. There's some tops and gloves. I don't see any seasonal things in the tops yet. And then after that, there's some charms and some premium things. I personally have not gotten any of these yet. I have thought about getting the training link, but I just haven't yet. The training link is really great for EV training and not leveling up a Pokemon, which that's something that some people do want. And then there's the ocarinas. These are the one item other than like the vanity, because like if you like it, buy it. But like utility wise, I highly recommend getting the ocarina. Now here's the thing, you cannot use it until you have unlocked the HM, but you don't have to have a Pokemon that is just your Surf and Dive and Whirlpool Pokemon, and that's all you use it for. And oh man, I already went into a cave and I didn't grab my Rock Smash Pokemon. The ocarinas are there for you. You just use them and it summons a Pokemon and it does the thing for you. They are absolutely amazing and a real game changer, and I highly recommend getting these, even if it's just a couple of them. Personal favorites are Rock Smash. I don't have a lot of Pokemon that I want to have Rock Smash on that are just always in my party. Strength is another one of those. I think my other one that I really love and have is Cut, because those are moves that just, sure, they can be good, but they're not great, and I don't want to keep them on my regular Pokemon that have better moves. Lastly, there are particles. They brought back the Witch's Cap particle. I'm so excited for that. So these add little flair to your Pokemon. I'm going to go ahead and do the preview and show you. So whenever you throw out your Pokemon, I don't know why it has that Charizard in a Master Ball. That's so funny. Okay, so the little cat running around and then jumps in the portal. It's so cute. That is the particle, and there's a bunch of different particles you can get. These are the ones for the season, and I'm so excited. I'm actually probably going to get that. I just bought a particle for my Umbreon. I might get that for my Espeon though. Anyways, they only have these for a limited amount of time, at least the seasonal ones. The Black Hole and the White Cat have been here for a while, but they probably will be switched out at some point. Okay, so that is the gift shop. I highly recommend that if you have the extra cash, because it is real world money. So to get rewards points, you spend real world money, and it depends on your currency, on what the conversion is, I believe. So for 500 points, that's $5. For 1,000 points, it's $10 for some things, but other things aren't too bad. Like the particles, it's $2.50. So I mean, I guess it just depends on how you view things in game. Me personally, I'm probably gonna spend that $2.50. Like, that is an adorable particle effect. I get to keep on my Pokemon, and I get to enjoy it every time I use that Pokemon, and it just makes it a little bit more special. But that's all up to you as a player. Some of those things can be found on the GTL, so if you make a lot of money in game, you can still get some of those things, like the donator status, the vouchers, particles, some of the vanity items. A lot of those things can be found on the GTL. For tip number 9, the Discord. There is an official Discord server for PokeMMO, and I highly recommend it. There's some really great people there, and it's a place to ask questions or make friends and just get information. So my personal favorite thing is it lets you know whenever there's an alpha instead of just having to wait and look at your map. Another thing, like I said, is asking questions and getting answers from people. This server has a ton of people, and most of them are really, really great. You can also get some really cheap Pokemon on there from people just trying to clear out boxes. I know me personally, I go there and I'll list Pokemon for like 1K. I don't care. Somebody take it. So you're getting some really good Pokemon that you may really want for really cheap just because somebody's trying to clear out a box. Last but not least, I know this one's going to be a cliche, don't care. Have fun. Like, there's a lot of people I'll see in the game chat that are whining and just not having fun. This is supposed to be fun. That's the whole point of the game. That's the whole point of playing, is to have fun. I get sometimes things are hard. I know I've been frustrated. I'm actually procrastinating right now. I should be on my alt account fighting Barry, but I also just did a whole bunch of EV evolutions that I need to level. Anyways, there's so many different things you can do. If you're stuck at a gym or you're stuck on a certain character, go do something else. Go catch a bunch of Pokemon. Go fishing. Go breed some Pokemon. There's tons of things you can do. You don't have to just do battles. So don't forget to have fun and just enjoy the game. Alright, well, that's all for me. Hopefully, y'all will catch me in the next video and I'll be talking about utility Pokemon. I'm really excited to make that video for y'all, and I think I'm going to go by region. So it's early ones you can catch starting out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy your game. Bye!